Hello, and welcome back to the I Come First podcast. It is your friend and host, Amie Barsky here. And today we're diving into a topic that is very near and dear to my heart: the pros and cons of being an NFL cheerleader. As you may know, or actually maybe you don't know, I spent several years on the sidelines as an NFL cheerleader for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this experience has shaped my life in so many ways. And today I want to peel back the curtain and take an honest look at the glitter and the grit of this particular world. But before we jump in, I have a very quick announcement. I have two in person women's events just around the corner: November 3rd in San Diego, and November 17th in Philadelphia. This event is called Rise Beyond Burnout. So if you're feeling burned out, if you're feeling tired, you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, and stressed because you feel like there's just not enough time in the day to get everything done, this is your chance for us to work in person together to understand your patterns and say goodbye to that hustle and that push, that proving mentality, and finally feel more energized, more focused, and more confident in your life. If this is something that you're interested in, will you please DM me Rise, Rise, on my personal Instagram account at Amie Barsky Coaching, and I'll send you the details right to your inbox ASAP. Okay, back to today's topic. Now, I really want to set the tone here. As always, keeping it real and open and honest as I can be. My intention is to paint a full picture, not just the sparkly parts you see on television, but the behind the scenes reality as well. And I'll start by saying, just like pretty much everything in life, there's pros and cons, there's highs and there's lows. Same goes for this particular experience as an NFL cheerleader. So I'm going to start with the pros because there are a lot of them. And often this is what attracts young women to pursue this type of path as an NFL cheerleader. So we're going to roll it back and take you back to the spring of 1996. I was 23 years old and I was a sophomore in college. I was studying dance at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia when I heard about the audition for the NFL cheerleaders. And I thought to myself, wow, what an opportunity to be a Philadelphia Eagles cheerleader. Let's go. So that morning, I woke up really early. I got myself together and I headed out the door with so much excitement. And I have to say, I was blown away when I showed up to the famous Vet Stadium to see over 800 other women there, all competing for only 36 spots. I was like, holy moly, this is intense. So the audition process consists of several rounds over several weeks. We were learning dance routines and performing in front of the judges. We would go through interviews and then, of course, anticipating each round. Were you moving forward? Was your name called out? Or were you getting cut and going home? The competition was definitely fierce. But overall, I felt like it was a fun process for me. I was making new friends. We were helping each other out. Like you could feel the bonding was already beginning. Now, the final day of auditions. One, I was really proud, first off, that I made it that far. And I was definitely nervous, that's for sure. But I danced my butt off and I had a solid interview. And then we all stood and waited. Like you could feel the anticipation in the room as we locked arms and just hugged each other and just with the excitement and just waiting for them to come back in the room with the names to share who the next squad would be. And when they announced that I was chosen to be on the squad, I squealed like a little girl with excitement, and I felt like I was the luckiest woman in the entire world. So then it was official. I was an NFL cheerleader, and that felt really amazing. One of the first things I think I realized was, wow, we're in the spotlight a lot. Like, wow, this was really different for me. I always felt that wearing my uniform was a privilege, and often humbly remembering that out of over 800 women, I was chosen to represent this team. That was really cool. And being on the field, performing for 60,000 people, these fans, and if you know Philly, our fans are devoted, like capital D devoted, plus the millions of people watching on TV, there was a rush like no other. The energy of the stadium, the music, the roar of the crowd when we would come running through the tunnel. It's intoxicating, really, especially for someone who loves to dance, loves to perform. It was a dream come true. Then there was this other element of personal growth that I had no idea would be a part of this experience. You see, being an NFL cheerleader requires discipline, it requires dedication, and it requires a thick skin. I learned how to handle criticism. I learned to push my body beyond its limits and to always put my best foot forward, even when I was feeling exhausted or having a bad day. And I feel that these skills have served me pretty well in every aspect of my life since then. I will say that being a cheerleader opened doors for me in many ways. Volunteering for impactful charities was one of my favorite things to do. Attending beautiful galas and events, meeting people from all walks of life. I believe the volunteering aspect of it had a huge influence on my life many, many, many years later when I spearheaded my own nonprofit organization called Maryvale Angels, which I ran for about 13 years. Overall, I'd say that the biggest gift of being a part of the NFL organization was sisterhood. The bonds I formed with my fellow cheerleaders were incredible. We spent countless hours together. Think about it: practices, performances, appearances. These women became my second family. We supported each other through life's ups and downs, through good times, through bad times. We really celebrated each other. Even when we retired our pom poms, our friendships kept going. Countless birthdays, weddings, gatherings, reunions, even funerals. 28 years later, some of my closest friends today are the women from this squad. Literally, just the other week, we had a little mini reunion, 72 hours of some of them coming out to LA for a quick girls' getaway. We were catching up, we were reminiscing. It was so beautiful. Memories that will last a lifetime. Now, I promised we would see both sides of the coin today. So let's flip it over to the cons. Keeping it real, it wasn't always glitter and touchdowns. Some would say the biggest con is the pay. Despite the time commitment and the physical demands, NFL cheerleaders are severely underpaid. Most of us were juggling school and a full time job, or maybe both. And it was very transparent. From the beginning, before you even signed your contract, you knew that you weren't doing this for the money. I personally did it for the experience, for the exposure, for the love of performing. But still, there was definitely a stark contrast to the multi-million dollar contracts of the players that we were cheering for and us. So there's that. And even though it wasn't a full-time paycheck, it was definitely a full-time job when it came to time commitment. There were nighttime practices several nights a week. There were practices the morning of the games. Then, of course, performing at the games, appearances, events, plus staying on top of physical shape, staying on top of your best shape. There was a lot expected of us, and to do this with excellence. So, yeah, there were times where I felt pressure for sure. You know what? I want to go back to that statement I just talked about, staying in top physical shape. I'm talking of body image here. This is a topic that was always top of mind being an NFL cheerleader. Now, I'm all about promoting health and wellness and fitness, but the pressure to maintain a certain body type, it was intense and honestly, sometimes unrealistic. We'd have weekly weigh-ins before each game. And if you were a certain number, I can't remember what that number is off the top of my head right now, but if you weighed a certain amount, then you were not able to cheer on the field. You would not perform that day. Instead, you would go upstairs to the VIP suites and do appearances. So there were certainly times when I felt my worth was solely tied to my appearance. And that can take a toll on such a young girl's self-esteem. Actually, I'll share this. My rookie year was pretty challenging. I was feeling extremely insecure. I had just gotten out of a relationship and my heart felt very broken. And even though I made the team, I didn't feel I fit the image of an NFL cheerleader. I didn't feel attractive enough or sexy enough. I didn't feel that my body was a swimsuit calendar body. So between my first and second year, this insecurity kept ruminating, and I decided to go and get breast implants. I was so convinced that having bigger boobs would help me feel more sexy, more confident, that I would fit in then. Now, this was obviously far from the truth, but back then I was so young. I didn't know that my self worth came from within. I was taught that it came from what others thought of me, how talented I was, how pretty I was, how sexy I was. And as I look back now, the laugh's on me because the objectification, it was real. I mean, most fans were respectful, but there were those people who had in their minds that cheerleaders were nothing more than eye candy. So between that and the pressure of weigh-ins, it can be dehumanizing to have your worth reduced to your physical appearance, especially when you're working so hard to be a skilled dancer and a performer. On the other side of it, there's the using your voice aspect to speak up for yourself. And often as a cheerleader, we were expected to be seen and not heard. There were strict rules around what we could and couldn't say at events or interviews. There were strict rules around who we could or couldn't interact with. So that lack of autonomy can be very frustrating, especially when you're so passionate about other issues beyond the sidelines. I mean, these women that I got to cheer alongside with are extremely intelligent and had so much to share. All right, I'm going to wrap it up and leave it there for now. For now. So I feel like there's a lot there. And the question is, where does that leave us? Was being an NFL cheerleader worth it? For me, I answer yes. Yes is my answer because it is a full body yes to the experience and it is complicated as well. The experience taught me so much about myself. It pushed me to be an amazing performer. It showed me how capable I was of overcoming challenging times. And it gave me a platform that I may not have had otherwise. And like I mentioned earlier, the friendships I made, priceless. The personal growth I experienced, priceless. But I also recognize, and I want to really make this clear, that there are problematic aspects of this industry. The underpayment, the objectification, the strict control. These are issues that get to be addressed. And they're a part of why I do what I do now, empowering women to find their voice, to own their value beyond their appearance. My time as an NFL cheerleader was a chapter of my life that I am definitely grateful for. And of course, it definitely does not define me either. It was a stepping stone. I feel that it was a stepping stone to lead me right here where I am today, using my voice to empower women just like you. And so, to any young woman out there who is considering this path of becoming an NFL cheerleader, I encourage you to go in with eyes open. Understand both the glitter and the grit, but most importantly, know your worth. Stand up for yourself and never, ever, ever let someone dim your light. Remember, whether you're on the sidelines or you're in the boardroom, you have value beyond your appearance. Your voice matters, your thoughts matter, your decisions matter, your dreams matter. You matter. You, as a woman in this world, matter. So that's my share for today's episode. And if you enjoyed this sneak peek behind the pom poms, will you please rate, review, and subscribe? And remember, you are more than capable of creating the life that you dream of. Until next time, from my heart to yours, stay empowered. Big hugs. Thanks for tuning in.